Zoom is preparing to live stream. Smiles, and again, we're gonna turn our cameras off after we get started. Cameras on right now. Cameras come back on when we get ready to do the resources. All right, y'all, refresh, we live. All right, let me make sure I'm echoing. All right. Oh, yeah. Can y'all hear? Do y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Do it sound like I'm echoing anywhere?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Are y'all out there? Do you hear me, Danita? Do you hear me? All right. So what up, what up, what up, though? What up, what up, what up, though? What up, what up? What up, what up, what up, though? Hey, professionals. Hey, everybody. We are here, and we are happy to be here. Okay, I can still hear some echo. Let me see if we can get that fixed. All right, and then, can you hear me? All right, and then I gotta do it like that, so that was right. So let's make sure that, I'm just trying to make sure I don't have echo. Hey, good morning, Danita. All right, you guys, thank you for joining us. We are here in living color. Yes, beautiful melanated color. We're here, and we're here to welcome you to a mental health awareness panel. We are licensed professional therapists, and we are here to educate you on OCD, retail therapy, and shopping addiction. Our goal is to enlighten you with what it is, how to get treatment, what to look for our symptoms, understand how to cope, and what are the resources so you can live 2023 healthy and happy mentally, especially when it comes to spending your coins. Now, we did a lot of spending of our coins this holiday season just past us. So I want you to really refresh, regroup, and understand how to do better, or how to help somebody do better in your family or your friends. So I want you to really understand the disorder of obsessive compulsive disorder and how we kind of chalk it up to, I'm just gonna buy this. I'm just doing me. No, understand if you really are impeding on your life and stopping your life from being the best life. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you to our panel today. Are you ready? Are you excited? We are. We here. We ready. Okay. So the first person, I'm just gonna go in order that I see on my screen, and we're gonna get into it. Each therapist that you see today got a different section that's gonna talk to you about retail therapy, shopping addiction, or obsessive compulsive disorder. We want to make sure that you guys understand literally how they all work together and how not to get stuck where you literally get diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder based on shopping. So I want to show you guys the first beautiful smile is Via Fraley. Yes, Miss Via Fraley is a LCSW. Raise your hand, Via. Let them know I'm talking about you, girl. Okay, she is known as the well-able therapist. Yes, and so she's gonna be coming to you live and talking to us about like, what is this stuff that we get attached to related to shopping. The next beautiful Black queen I want to show you is Miss Carol Ada Gilbert. She is an LMSW. Listen, Carol is all about serene counseling and wellness. So she is a calming therapist. Okay, you gonna be calm by the time she get done with you, I guarantee. All right, now I'm going to show you Miss beautiful Rosetta Delancey. She is an LMSW. Y'all raise your hands so they know which one you are, okay? Miss Rosetta Delancey is the True Compassion Development Center therapist. That's the name of her practice, and her coined name is the Compassion Motivator, because you're going to have some empathy by the time you get done with her. I'm telling you, you're going to love yourself and everybody else. You're going to understand better. And my last but not least is Miss Whitney Coleman. Yes, Miss beautiful Whitney Coleman. What that smile at, Whitney? Show them that smile, girl. There it is. Okay, Ms. Whitney Coleman, she is of J Clinical Services, the growth therapist. And listen, the reason it's the growth therapist because she's a clinical supervisor and she do consultation with therapists and she literally helped them grow from the rooter to the tutor. She do. All right. So that's the growth therapist for us. And I'm sorry I didn't mention, but our well-able therapist, Ms. Via Fraley, LCSW, her name of her practice is I Am Legacy Counseling. Y'all, I want y'all to know that these are some dynamic therapists. And before you leave today, if you don't have one, here is 5. Okay, get to know somebody that look like you that can truly help you move through your journey of life. And I am, shall I say, I am Glendora Divine. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I am a business coach to us therapists in mental health. Okay, so if you are truly seeking to level up your business, come on and see me. But with no further ado, let's get in before I move forward. One more person I want to introduce, okay? Her name is Danita Moss of Trinity Scribes. So if you're seeking help in making sure everybody hear your message and understand the key points, then she is in my comments dropping out the information that we're going to be delivering today. You can reach out to her and contract her for your services because you're finna see she does a great job. Trinity Scribes. All right. So now, with no further ado, our ladies are going to disappear, and the one that is going to be speaking to you and presenting to you at the time is going to give it to us. And I will be here over on the side, bringing her questions related to what she's talking about and making sure that we understand what she's delivering. So first up is Miss Via. Let's go. All right, ladies, I'll see you later.
Hello, I'm Via, the well-able therapist. And so first, what I want to do is share a client story. And so I had a client that came to me and she was worried about where her life was heading. She liked to get her hair done, get her lashes done, go shopping. She really liked it because it blew off steam for her. But she became having a lot of responsibilities at work, having 3 jobs in one. And she noticed that she started to online shop a lot more to where it was just consuming her day and she was spending a lot more money. So what we did was we worked on resolving her core issues and managing her stress. Which looks a lot like processing her childhood trauma. She had grew up in poverty, eating fish sticks every night, Payless shoes once a year, and she really had vowed to give herself the things that she didn't get as a child. But she came to realize that those things were not necessarily materialistic. And so she really wanted a space where she felt heard and cared for. So we also helped build her community and her support system to be able to express her thoughts and her emotions. So if we run that back, we heard a lot about retail therapy in her story. And so what is it? Because we say that all the time. What you doing this weekend? Or clients asking what you doing? And they're saying, hey, I'm doing a little retail therapy. So what is that? So that can be considered, it's called home shopping or going shopping to improve your mood, to feel happier. And so this is not uncommon. About 62% of shoppers say that they buy something to make them feel better. So when it kind of becomes an issue is that we know retail therapy is not therapy, it's not counseling, it's not addressing what you really need to talk about. And it can turn into an uncontrollable urge. And so that can look like buying things to feel good and buying in excess or even overspending. And so, despite what the consequences may be of doing this. So that describes shopping addiction perfectly. And about 6% of the US has shopping addiction. Now, we must remember with shopping addiction that it is not a mental health condition. I want to say that again. It is not a mental health condition. It can be associated with mental health conditions such as anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder. To where with obsessive compulsive disorder or OCD, where you have reoccurring or persistent thoughts or urges that cause you distress or worry. So all that to say is that shopping addiction can be associated with different mental health disorders. And the most helpful thing to do is to talk to a licensed professional and remember that you can overcome circumstance and thrive beyond adversity.
Okay. So let me just ask you this then, Vaya, because it seemed like it was like a light bulb went off when you said shopping addiction is actually not a mental health disorder. So
Mm-hmm.
it's related to mental health disorders. Which are like the most common that you came up with that you know about?
Okay. So the most common that I saw was like with anxiety or depression, mood disorders, some personality disorders can tend to make you impulsive, or even OCD that can make you have compulsions or obsessions or urges to buy things. So those are the most common disorders that I saw.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, so that is so it's valid to say that shopping addiction is associated with obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so retail therapy is just you're saying is like something that we just throw out there, we're not really putting much thought to it of like if it's really impacting us or if it is shopping addiction.
Yes. So retail therapy is common. We all shop to make ourselves feel better. It can turn into that shopping addiction where you might want to look at it a little bit more if you find yourself being able to not control your urges of needing to buy things.
Okay. So instead of just going to buy it to feel good, you honestly got a urge. And that's when you
Mm-hmm.
start having those urges like I have to buy it. If I
Yeah, I
don't,
gotta get it.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
feel some type of I'm gonna feel some type of way. I might, not be able to get out of bed if I don't buy this. That's
Yeah.
what we're gonna start looking at it as. Okay, is the retail therapy turning into an addiction?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just going to just ask you this really quick. When you think about the way you're saying it, the retail therapy, we buy stuff to feel good, and the shopping addiction is more we're looking at an urge that's kind of taking us down that road. It just made me think about hoarders. So would a hoarder person be more of like a retail therapy? I'm just going to get it to make me feel good, or were they leaning on towards more of the shopping addiction because it's more associated with the obsessive compulsive area?
From what I've seen in research, is a lot of these compulsions are intertwined. So with the retail therapy, you're buying stuff that you don't necessarily really need, and you're buying in an excess. So I've seen people have rooms where they start putting all the stuff in their rooms, and they don't have no space. And then also, if there's people that are into bidding on items, which brings up the issue of, okay, is this a gambling addiction? So it seems to be really intertwined, to where you could see some hoarding aspects and some other addictions too.
Okay, so I think I like the word intertwine. because I believe that as well. You know, we start off with buying stuff because it makes us feel good, and then next thing you know, TikTok made me buy all this shit. I'm sorry, TikTok made me buy all this stuff. And we like, wait a minute, you did not need this stuff. What are you doing? Why are you scrolling? Why are you purchasing like that? Now you turn it into, it's actually starting to stop you from doing things that you could be doing to actually help yourself or better yourself, because you're really spending too much time buying something else. And now it's turning into a compulsive disorder. Or you filling up a room that you don't need to be filling up with stuff that you'll never use. I really appreciate it. Now, don't disappear on me, because I'm going to bring you back in the end. But again, before you go, tell us again your name and the name of your business.
I am Via Fraley, the well-able therapist, co-founder of I Am Legacy Counseling and Consultation Services.
All right. Yes, y'all. Yes. Did y'all get that? So please remember, as Ms. Fraley just informed us, that retail therapy is how it starts for that feeling of feeling good. And correct me if I'm wrong, Via, why you still here? Retail therapy is how it starts, because we buy it because it makes us feel good when we purchase it. Then it's intertwined with shopping addiction, because next thing you know, you might be buying stuff just compulsively, just buying just to be buying. And again, I threw out the TikTok made me buy this. And the reason I did that is because that's like a new trend on how we're purchasing things now. It went from COVID to really buying on Amazon and Shein, and we buying all of the stuff from Shein, and you really still don't have nowhere to wear it. Or, so what are you doing? Why are we continue to be so impulsive? Because Shein is giving us discounts. So we still buying, but what's the real point? Is it turning into obsessive compulsive disorder? Thank you so much again, Via, for that. And the next thing we're going to look at is the treatment. So will my treatment specialist come on up here and talk to us? And let's see, that's what it is. It's intertwined. Now we're going to look at what is the treatment for it. And here is Miss Carolina. Yes. All right. Come on, introduce yourself, Carol, and tell us your name and the name of your company. And then let's get into this treatment.
Okay, so my name is Carolina Gilbert. I'm a licensed master social worker. I am the therapist and owner of Serene Counseling and Wellness. Here's a little bit about my story. So I had a client who dealt with a shopping addiction and OCD, as we just learned how they intertwine. So growing up, she grew up in a home where her mother was both verbally and physically abusive to her and her siblings, and had these expectations of them. One of these expectations was cleaning. And if they didn't clean a certain way, then their mother would be abusive to them, as stated, physically or emotionally. So growing up, in order to cope with this as an adolescent and into her adulthood, she would go shopping. And as she was living at home, the shopping addiction wasn't that bad. She would buy, certain things. As she got older and started living on her own, things got a lot worse. And she was able to hide it because no one was really coming to her home to visit her. So she kept buying. Eventually, she decided to seek out therapy. But the reason she sought out therapy wasn't because of this shopping addiction, which she didn't feel was a big issue because it made her feel good. She sought out therapy because of the relationship that she had with her mother was impacting not only her personal relationships, but her professional relationships. As we continued on with therapy, she ended up getting comfortable enough with me to discuss the fact that, hey, this is what I do to cope with, how my mom treated me. And as we talked a little more, we realized that, hey, this isn't just something, our retail therapy, something that makes us feel good. It sounds like this is a bigger issue, seeing as though how she described it to me is like, oh, you're getting all these items, you can't stop, it's impacting parts of your life where you're having difficulty paying bills and budgeting and things of that sort. And so because of that, I helped her out. We discussed things to help her with her shopping addiction and to treat OCD, because she also had, some cleaning issues too in relationship with her mother's treatment of her and her siblings when she was younger. The thing with treating a shopping addiction is the fact that, hey, I need to shop every day. So it's not that, hey, I'm going to the mall, I'm going to Nordstrom, I'm going to Macy's and spending this money. I need to go to the grocery store. I have to buy cleaning items. Buying things is a part of our everyday lives. So how do you treat a habit that you have to utilize every day? So because of this, simply stopping buying stuff isn't going to work for a shopping addiction. You have to find other ways to treat this urge and this compulsive behavior. So the way to treat it is to interrupt the cycle of this compulsive buying by developing new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting when it comes to shopping. So it may be helpful to have someone in charge of your money. Maybe they take your cards, or maybe they help you budget. Maybe it is creating a network of family, friends, and other people that are also going through a shopping addiction, or may be able to support you with the shopping addiction. So what I've done is I've created 8 ways to combat retail therapy, and we're going to go through each of them and kind of talk about what they look like. So first is recognize your triggers. So a lot of times with treating a shopping addiction, what is the urge? With any mental health disorder, I always say, okay, think about what the behavior that caused you to shop. What were you feeling right before that? What made you decide to say, hey, I'm going to do this? So figuring out your trigger, what is the emotion? What is the action? What is the event that's happening before you feel like you have to go shopping? And when you do feel those urges, because you're learning your triggers, or you may know your triggers, destroy your credit cards, keep them out of reach. With credit cards, they're unlimited money. Like with your debit card, once you swipe a couple times, if the money isn't there, isn't it going to go through? But with a credit card, it can constantly feed this addiction. So maybe it'd be beneficial to destroy your credit cards while you're trying to figure out things. Discover the need that the shopping fulfills. So why are you giving into this shopping? Is it because your need for validation? Is it because it gets you closer to hang out with your friends? Is it because it creates conflict in your life that allows you to feel needed or to get that attention that you're seeking? Does it help you avoid pain that you're experiencing in your life? Does it provide some stimulation, some excitement in your life, or a sense of control? What is the need that is pushing you towards wanting to do the compulsive shopping? Another step to help you combat retail therapy is make a budget and stick to it. Write a list and stick to it. So creating a detailed budget of your monthly income and then how you're going to divide it up every month can give you a better picture of, hey, where am I spending the money, or exactly where does the money need to go? And it will still allow you to have, like we say, our fun money. So you can make sure that all your bills are paid, you have food in your household, and you have a set of fun money that you can budget to allow you to still shop, but within limits. And also write a list and stick to it. When you go grocery shopping, they always say, don't go grocery shopping hungry, because what you're going to do, you're going to buy everything. So don't go shopping without a list, because if you have an issue with a shopping addiction, you're going to be impulsive. And what are you going to do? You're going to want to buy everything. So if you're going in there for socks and a shirt to wear, then you stick to that and you leave once you get those items. Also, if you are interested in some tools to help you with budgeting, there are a lot of different ones out there. I'm going to name a couple. There's Monorail, there's Mint.com, and there's Good Budget. But there are a lot of different ones out there, and even some banks have it on their app where you can go in there and see how your money is allocated every month. And some banks even have savings accounts that you can set up to put aside for like a Christmas fund or a shopping fund or whatever fund you want to set up. Unplug from social media. Social media controls us all. And I know on Facebook, I'll go to Google or I'll mention something and the phone will pick it up. And all of a sudden I'm seeing posts for clothing and shoes and refrigerators and new cars. I'm like, how did they know I was going after this stuff? Well, the algorithms and all that, when you do Google searches or even when you say stuff on your phone, it picks it up. So maybe it's time for you to unplug from social media so you're not faced with those temptations from looking at it on your phone all the time. And also one thing that, we all do when we go to the stores, they say, hey, do you want to subscribe to our email list so you can keep track of all our coupons and offerings? You may want to go to those emails and unsubscribe, because an email may pop up 80% off everything. You're like, man, that's a good deal. But no, you need to not give into that temptation, that urge, because what sometimes fuels a shopping addiction is, hey, it's not so bad. I'm getting a good deal, so it's worth me spending my money on this. Delay your spending. You may have to say, okay, I really want this item, but let me give it a day to see if I really need it or if it's an emotional purchase. So if I want to really buy a new pair of shoes and I have 50 in my closet, maybe I need to take a day and think about it and see, do I really need those shoes or do I really want those shoes? And usually after giving some time to think about it, that urge will subside. There is no emotional reaction to those shoes, for instance, that you want to buy, and you're able to think more rationally about your purchase and the costs and benefits of buying that item. Delete retailer apps from your phone. Delete off the Shein app, delete off the Target app, delete off all those apps on your phone that have easy access for you to buy those items that you want. You want to remove as much temptation as you can so that you're not giving into the urge to purchase more. Find a support group. There's a lot of different ones out there, whether it be you finding a support group like Shopaholics Anonymous, or whether you connect with a therapist that has support groups, or if you gather some close family and friends just to support you on this journey, to provide advice, accountability, or what you need. Find a support group to help you with what you need so that you can have the strength sometimes when you're feeling weak, or get some advice or tips to help you on your journey of conquering your shopping addiction. And lastly, get professional help. Us therapists, we're here for a reason. We have different insights, training, and evidence-based practices to help you out with your addiction. As it was mentioned by Vaya, a lot of times a shopping addiction, OCD, is co-current with a comorbid disorder. So that can include anxiety, depression, and a lot of different other disorders. So sometimes our shopping addiction, as stated with my client's story, is a deep-rooted issue with maybe some anxiety that she developed from her mom, or some deep-rooted trauma that she experienced in her childhood, where she feels she needs to go shopping to kind of cope with that. So seeing a therapist can also help you through these steps that I just listed, because maybe your shopping addiction is to a point where me doing it on my own isn't going to work. I need some professional help and accountability to help me tease out these issues, to help hold me accountable to different tools and resources that are available to me, and maybe to deal with these deep-rooted issues of mental health that I need to cope with, to deal with what is really going on, why I really feel the urge and the need to shop. So these steps that I just listed are only a few. So these may work for you, or you may have to tailor or find something different that works better for you. So occasionally shopping, doing some impromptu shopping, having a treat yourself day, that's all well and fine. But when it becomes an issue, when it's impacting not only your mental health, but also your livelihood, and it's affecting your daily living, that's when you need to seek help. That's when you need to really pay attention and get the support that you need. All of us therapists are here to support you, pulling on your friends or family, pulling on your supports, realizing that it's an issue. And I want to leave you with a couple of tips of managing your shopping addiction. Number one, admit you have a problem. The biggest thing we can do when we have an issue is admit that we have an issue. And there's nothing wrong with having problems. Each and every one of us have something that we're dealing with. And it's okay to admit that you also have something that you are dealing with. Number two, ask for help from your doctor or a licensed professional. Seek professional help. It's okay. No matter how long we need to guide you on this journey, whether it be a couple weeks, a couple months, or a couple years, we're here to support you. Number three, find a self-help group like Shopaholics Anonymous, or creating your own group that you can utilize to provide that support, advice, and camaraderie to help you conquer and meet your goals. Get rid of your credit cards. As stated, it's a black hole of endless money, and it will continue to feed your shopping addiction. So cut up those credit cards, cancel them out, remove that temptation from you. Write a list, stick to it, as I stated before, and shop with a friend. Sometimes it might be beneficial to have an accountability partner with you so that you stick to the list while you're trying to gain the confidence and the fortitude to be able to say no and resist the urges that you're having. And lastly, avoid the internet sites that may be getting off the home shopping network or all those other televised networks. It may be unsubscribing, logging off Facebook, Instagram, staying away from, limiting your use of browsers for a little bit, logging off of Amazon Prime, whatever it is. Sometimes we do need to take the extreme so that we can get the support and treatment we need. So again, my name is Carolina Gilbert from Serene Counseling and Wellness. Thank you so much for listening, and healing has different paths. Find yours so you can be well.
Yes, because they do. They have so many different paths. I just want to go over the treatment with you one more time. You gave us some really, really good coping skills to think about and implement, and we're going to have Ms. Coleman go over some more for us. But so I really want to make sure that they understand, once they start to realize that retail therapy is intertwined with shopping addiction, which is intertwined with obsessive compulsive disorder. What do you do for treatment? And, when you were talking and you're telling a story about, your client, you said she came to you for something else. And you mentioned that she came to you for relationship issues, that she was having a poor relationship with her mom. And it was based on this behavior, but it was still, she was coming more so due to the relationship with her mom, the constant arguing. Is it safe to say that her mom was like getting on her about her spending habits?
Well, that's the thing sometimes with shopping. She hid it for a long time. So a lot of the trauma she was experiencing from her mother was generational, from talking to her mom's mother abused her. And because of her being a child, not knowing how to deal with that, it came out as, well, when I go shopping, this makes me feel good. It gives me comfort. So I'm going to keep doing it. And to mention another specific type of treatment, cognitive behavioral therapy is a great treatment for shopping addiction and OCD, because what it does is target certain behaviors that are not healthy and helps an individual gain the tools that they need to change those behaviors and develop skills to overcome them.
So if a person is seeking help and they're going to a professional such as us, then they should be seeking out a professional that actually do the work of cognitive behavior therapy, you saying?
Yes.
Okay, so that's trained in CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. And another thing that you pointed out is that another reason that she was coming to therapy, or people come to therapy is because they have difficulty paying their bills due to their shopping all the time.
Yes.
So it was like relationship issues and, difficult paying bills, things that literally just stopping them from moving forward in their life. It was a reason to trigger them to come into therapy. Now, when you say therapy, are you talking about, are they coming in for individual or is it family therapy? What are they coming in for? What's one of the best treatments for shopping addiction? Is it family therapy or is it individual therapy?
Well, I'm really glad you mentioned that. It is shown that both can be very beneficial to a person that has these type of addictions, because an individual therapy can get to the root of, hey, what's going on? What's the reason behind my addiction? But a lot of times when you are addicted to shopping therapy, it not only affects you, it's rooted in the family. So let's say this person was married. How has this addiction, this OCD affected this marriage? Or in my case with my client, with her family therapy would have been is beneficial because, hey, not only am I having this addiction, but hey, it rooted from these issues that we had in our childhood. Let's kind of talk about this and figure out how this behavior affects this behavior that I'm experiencing today.
So individuals should look for a therapist that actually specializes in CBT and family therapy. That'll be helpful if they're experiencing some type of shopping addiction or OCD related to retail therapy or shopping addiction. The thing that you said, the same thing that Vaya said was the urges. So I wanted to ask you this regarding the therapy and the treatment is how long do people anticipate to be in therapy when they are suffering from shopping addiction? Even though shopping addiction is not a disorder, but it's associated with OCD, how long do we usually see people in therapy for OCD?
Well, that can be a kind of difficult question to answer because it all depends. So you may gain the tools to be able to do it, but if you're not dealing with the root of the issue, so if you're not dealing with the anxiety, the depression, or the trauma that you're experiencing that's causing it, you may be in therapy for 3 months and be able to tease out those issues. But for more severe cases, it may take months or longer to really deal with the deep-rooted issue that's causing the OCD and shopping addiction.
So an individual should be not surprised if the treatment goes longer than 2 months or 3 months.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think that it's the OCD, do it matter if it's once a week or is it twice a week, or how often do you think the individual would come in?
I would always suggest once a week, especially if it's impacting the person's life significantly, and then decreasing. If it is really significant, if it's causing some serious impairments, sometimes even inpatient treatment may be necessary. So it kind of depends on the severity, but for a general client, I would say at least a minimum of once a week to start.
I also like the fact that we're talking about retail therapy and shopping addiction and how it's correlated to OCD. And I like the fact that you said the shopping daily is what we're looking at, what we are going to assess. And it's not just department stores, but it might be the gas station. It might be a convenience store. It might be just going to get cleaning supplies. So it really doesn't matter. The bottom line, I think what you're saying is that you're spending money daily,
and it's
you have an urge to do so.
An urge that is hard to resist.
Okay. And then I like the fact that you also brought up as another form of treatment, groups. So is group therapy, is that a one? Because you didn't mention group therapy, but you mentioned support groups. So is group therapy another form of treatment for OCD?
It definitely can be. There's so much power in group therapy and how people can pull on the advice, the experiences of the individuals in the group to kind of facilitate growth and change. So group therapy is definitely beneficial to this.
And then if they don't know about the group therapy, you did say that they can create their own support group.
Yes.
Okay. And with when you create your own support group, like just give me like two or three things of what that might look like.
You want to definitely include people that are going to hold you accountable. You don't want people in there that's going to enable you. You want to also include people, if possible, that have gone through what you've been through, because we can involve people that know us, but if they don't know what we're going through, it may be difficult for them to relate or even recognize, different triggers or symptoms of what we're going through. So I would say, definitely pull on people that support you, pull on people that may have some professional experience, and also pull on people that have similar, if not exact, experiences that have gone through or are going through what you're trying to deal with.
And the last thing for treatment that I want to ask you is, like, when you do the individual, or you might be doing a family, or you might be into a group, whether it's support or if it's therapeutic related to OCD, how long do the sessions normally last to actually be productive? Are these like 20-minute sessions? Are they like 30-minute groups? Or what? I know you said cognitive behavior therapy is a driving force to help overcome OCD, but how long do you think the sessions may last for somebody to just get started in individual, family, or group?
I would say for individual, at least an hour, to kind of talk about everything. At maximum, I say maybe an hour 30 if it's like a really good session and we're really teasing out some of the roots of what's going on. As far as group therapy, I would say, because a group, you want to give everybody opportunity to talk and to share, I would say an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your beautiful expertise. Thank you, Queen. Now we're going to move right on over to talk about what these symptoms look like, okay? So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. Again, we're talking about mental health awareness, retail therapy, shopping addiction, and the connection they have with obsessive compulsive disorder. So we have now Miss beautiful Rosetta Delancey. Yes, please introduce yourself, state the name of your business, and then tell us about the symptoms related to obsessive compulsive disorder in connections to retail therapy and shopping addiction.
Okay, hi. So I'm Rosetta Delancey. I'm a licensed master social worker. The name of my business is True Compassion Development Center, as well as my candle business is the Intimate Candle Company. So when it comes to retail therapy and shopping addictions, some of the symptoms are, before I start there, let me just give you a little backstory about a client that I had who came to me for help because her shopping addiction had become so severe that it caused problems within her marriage. So it got so bad to the point where she was using some of her coworkers to send like Amazon packages or anything that she bought, send it to their house, or she would also hide the things inside the car. And so she would take her belongings out when her husband either went to work or he left to go hang out with the boys, or she would hide the shopping things in the laundry room, different areas of the house. The problem was she didn't need a lot of these things. She had a bunch of hair products that she bought the year before that she never used, but she would still buy all these things, say, I'm going to use them, but she never used them. So when she continued to do that, she had previously paid off all her debt. And then once her husband saw the papers, the credit card statement, she was in $40,000 worth of debt of just shopping for things that she did not need. So that became a problem for her because her marriage was pretty much on the brink of being dissolved. So when it comes to shopping addictions and some of the symptoms are, one of the main things is excessive spending. Spending, even if you have a budget and you're often going over that budget and you try to justify your actions, oh, it's not that much money I'm spending. Oh, I really need this. In reality, you don't need it because you already have it at home. Next, one of the other symptoms are when you get so excited when you buy those things in that moment, but when you get home, you feel guilty, you feel shame. You're like, why did I just do that? But you're still afraid to take it back to return it because you remember that feeling that you felt when you bought those items, a sense of happiness. Of course, as I mentioned before, we talked about the money problems. It's really, really bad. It's like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but it's not in a good way. It's so you can actually just buy things that you want versus need. You neglect your responsibilities. So for instance, I'm not trying to throw shade with anybody, but for instance, say that, okay, you know how Bath and Body Works have those candles on sale? Instead of going to work and doing the responsible thing or, preparing to make sure your dinner is on, make sure your house is clean, make sure your kids is picked up, you decide to go stand in the long lines, either for candles or even for shoes. When the Nike shoes comes out, you're standing in line to get the latest shoes, latest fashion, but you leave everything else to the wind, like, oh, I'll get to it, but you never get to it. And then what comes after that? Arguments, because you didn't do what you needed to do from the get-go, correct? Also, like I talked about, the secret hiding stuff. Now, not only do you have a problem, you're having other people to help you in this problem. And they're thinking, oh, it's no problem, or I understand, but not realizing that you really, really have a problem with shopping and addiction. And like my colleague Carlotta mentioned, she's talked about the need for approval, social recognition. We're living in an age with social media that they put all these things like, oh, you need to have the latest fashion, the latest trends and stuff like that. But in reality, they don't know that they're helping you feed an addiction that is really, really, really a problem. So if you don't remember anything else that I've said, always remember this: to love your natural beauty as your enhanced beauty. And that is what it is for symptoms.
Yes, yes, yes. Your natural beauty and your enhanced beauty. But Rosetta, before you go away, you know, you was really touching on these symptoms, what we really got to look for. And what we really got to look for, these three feelings are symptoms that you pointed out. So you say we first get super excited when we buying it. Then we get home, or once we purchase it, we have it, we get an instant rush of guilt. And then it comes with another rush of being afraid to take it back. And I know what you're saying, because I have been to restaurants where I have been looking at the menu like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this, and I get it, and I'm like, I know I can't eat all this shit.
Yes.
Why did I order that? You know, and again, the fear of, I don't want them to take it back, because there's nothing wrong with it. I overdid myself. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't being rational myself. I was being irrational as I moved through. The excessive spending habit, you know, and I'm just being transparent, because sometimes when I order the food, I'm doing it based on the price, not the dang on meal. I'm being excessive. So, and I know I'm not the only one that literally goes out there and does that, but it's the thing about making sure you being mindful. If you're really trying to track the feelings, is what you're saying, be mindful, of the symptoms. If you're really trying to track your symptoms and see if you are being impacted by shopping addiction. Yes, one thing I really think that you said, Rosetta, is these feelings. You know, y'all already been talking about urges. So now it's like, look, here go 3 feelings. Make sure they don't follow up like this: being excited, then going through guilt, and then feeling afraid. Because again, if you do, then it might be something else that you really want to look at and go and seek treatment. The other one is that you said was justify. I love the fact when you said how we try and justify it, you know, and because you're using like common words. I really resonated with that. The first one you said is, it's not that much. How many times do we buy stuff and then we turn around and be like, well, you know what? It ain't that much. But the reality of it is, it might not be that much, but at the same time, did you really? And then we also have the other one. I really need it. I really need it. Why do we talk to ourselves like that, Rosetta? Why do we both smoke up our own booty to actually get this, to get into these poor habits?
Because we want to justify why we're keeping those things, and sometimes it's a little bit more deeper than that. We're seeking validation, you know, from ourselves, even though there's something that might have caused it from us growing up. I don't know if you ever think about, you remember the show Hoarders?
Yeah.
So a lot of hoarders who have started hoarding things, something happening within their life while they were growing up. Either it could have been they lost someone, or even with losing someone. I remember watching one particular hoarder show where this lady was a young kid, and her parents both died, and she had to live with her aunt. And the only things that she had of her parents, or what they gave her, was like a teddy bear, some pictures and stuff. The aunt burnt those things in front of her in the yard. And so when she was a hoarder, she was like almost in her 90s. But that's what she remembered that triggered her. So by that, she justified her reason for holding on to all these things, because everything else was taken for her, even though she didn't need it, even a piece of plastic paper on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, you know, it's about the feeling of belonging, you know, that I get the hoarding goes with the feeling of belonging. But it also puts us in a position of buying things that we don't need. So I love the fact that you pointed out, as far as a symptom, it's something that you want, opposed to that you truly need. And when we do start say, I need it, it's not that much. I think we have to look at ourselves and say, you know, am I being rational or am I being irrational? Because if you get to the point like you described, where you actually start hiding stuff to avoid having poor relations, arguing with your family, arguing with your spouse because of what your habit, then it's starting to look like it might be more of a want than a need, because how is it really impacting you as a whole?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Rosetta, with your pretty self. Okay, we're going to move right along to the coping part of how do you cope with shopping addiction? How do you cope with them thoughts coming to you saying, you know what, I'm just gonna buy a little bit, I'm gonna do some retail therapy for me. How do you cope and not allow it to turn into an actual disorder like anxiety or depression or OCD? And I know Carolina gave us a lot of ways to cope, but I want Miss Whitney Coleman to come on in, introduce yourself, say the name of your business, and drill it in on truly how do we cope with this to not allow it to take over our life and turn us into somebody that we really is not happy with. Your mute is on.
Yep, of course. I am Whitney Coleman, owner and CEO of Jade Clinical Services in Washington, D.C. and Maryland. And I'll also just piggyback off what Rosetta said. I had a client who had some issues as a teen, and a lot of it had to do with self-esteem. And she started buying and shopping, and it was all clothes. And she kept shopping, she kept shopping, she kept shopping and buying things. Originally, no one realized how bad the situation was until she moved in with someone. When she moved in with someone, she put a lot of that clothing in a storage unit. So her partner did not have any idea how bad the situation was. And she continued to shop, and when she bought things, she continued to bring some things home and put some things in the storage unit. Eventually, her partner caught on that something was going on and began asking questions. And the apartment that she was living in with the partner started turning into a hoarding situation. She just kept buying all these clothes, and she wasn't wearing them. She was just buying them and just throwing them in the apartment, essentially. And at some point, her storage unit filled up. She ended up getting multiple storage units, and the partner had no idea that she had one unit, let alone multiple units. She finally admitted that anytime she felt stressed or anxious, or she felt like she wasn't good enough or anything along those lines, she would go and buy herself something. And the reality was that she was feeling like that multiple times a day. So multiple times a day, she would go and just buy herself something and would show up with these bags. So eventually it was affecting her marriage, and her partner did make her go and get professional help. But it really does affect relationships. So just to piggyback off what Rosetta said, it really can affect other people as well. But to get into coping skills, there are different things that you can do to help to cope with retail therapy, shopping addiction, and OCD. There are a number of coping skills that are general coping skills that you can utilize, but there are also some coping skills that are specific to each of those areas. So what I'm going to do is talk about the general coping skills, and then I'm going to go into something that's specific to those areas later on. So the first thing is count to 10. Whenever you're feeling stressed and you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling like you're being triggered, count to 10. If that doesn't work, repeat it and instead count to 20. If that doesn't work, try it again, count to 30. Another thing you can do is practice what we call diaphragmatic breathing or progressive muscle relaxation. These are tools where basically you're practicing a form of deep breathing and clenching your muscles, holding it for a few seconds, and then releasing. And these are tools that are just basically starting to relax your body. So it's ways of relaxing and getting away from the stress and anxiety. There are a lot of videos on YouTube where you can look up how to do them and practice it at home. When you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed about what's going on, especially if you already have a diagnosis and you're working with a mental health professional, remind yourself of the facts. And this is important because you can get into a loop and you can start blaming yourself, you can doubt yourself, you can feel guilty. Remind yourself that this isn't just you doing something just to do something. You have a diagnosis, this is a condition, this is real, and that you're taking steps to address it. And look at people who have medical conditions like asthma. If you were going on a hike with someone who had asthma and they had to stop and take their inhaler, would you get angry at them? No. So if you're having a moment where you're having a setback and you're having an issue with whether it's shopping or retail or OCD or whatever, don't blame yourself. Stop, figure out what's going on, and just say, okay, let me do some coping skills and we'll come back to this later. Another thing you can do is grounding exercises, and you can use your senses to ground you. And examples of this would be for sound, you can sing or listen to your favorite song. For smell, you can use aromatherapy. So that can also be the use of candles. For touch, you can pet an animal, or you can use a fidget toy or pen or other object and just play with that. For sight, you can play the alphabet or color or number games, which is like listing things in alphabetical order that you see in front of you, or naming something for every color that you can see, saying the alphabet backwards, counting backwards from 1,000, anything like that. And for taste, eating a sour candy. So those are things you can do in the moment when you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and triggered, to just utilize your senses to help ground you for a moment. Another thing you can do is practice positive affirmations. Positive affirmations can help you replace negative thoughts and beliefs over time, which can help reduce some of those compulsive urges that you have. So positive affirmations can really help over an extended period of time to reduce some of these urges that you have. Exercise. Having adequate exercise can help reduce the amount of stress that you're feeling. And when you reduce the amount of stress, it can reduce the symptoms. Laughter. So spending an evening watching a comedy, reading a funny book, playing games with friends or family, anything that can just make you laugh is the same as exercise. It can reduce the symptoms. So just finding ways to laugh and have fun. So some of the things that are very specific to shopping addiction and retail therapy is making it harder to access your money, like not having credit cards and having to pay with cash only, writing a shopping list and shopping with a buddy for accountability, unsubscribing from email lists and shopping catalogs, and using your imagination. So instead of going shopping, find creative alternatives. So window shopping, doing clothing swaps, closet shopping, and looking for clothes that you haven't worn in years among the clothes that you already have, going thrifting and having a budget of like $20 instead of spending $1,000, being creative so that you're not going and doing something that you would usually do. And then the last thing is keeping a journal. Keeping a journal can be really useful because it helps you write out what's going on and get an idea of what you're doing and why you're doing it. It can also help you track what your triggers are. So with regards to different situations, you can use different prompts. With OCD, you can use prompts such as, why do I think this triggered my OCD? What would happen if I hadn't performed this act? Usually OCD is caused by a fear that something would happen. So what evidence is there to show that my fear would actually come true? So you can write down a situation such as, I had to use a public restroom, and then say, what was the actual fear about it? The fear might be the stall was covered in germs and I can contract the illness and I could spread the illness to people I love. You can write down the solution. The solution might be, I wash my hands and arms after I use the restroom. And then write down the resolution to the situation. And the resolution might be that I washed my hands and arms for 60 seconds for 3 times in a row. And then I dried it for 30 seconds in between each wash, just to keep track of what's going on and to see how you're handling situations, but also to figure out what is causing you to behave in this way. And that way you can also bring this up in therapy and figure out what the triggers are and how you can address them. When it comes to retail therapy, you can use some of the following questions as prompts. How does it feel when I shop? Did I actually need anything that I purchased? What was the last thing I purchased that I could not live without? Do I buy things when I'm depressed, anxiety-ridden, angry, or lonely with an eye towards cheering myself up? How do I feel after I purchase things? Did these purchases affect my finances at all? Or do I hide my shopping from others? And you can use that as a way to start figuring out if you're just shopping for pleasure or if your shopping is starting to get out of control. And with regard to shopping addiction, you can use these prompts, which are similar to the retail therapy, but why am I at this store? How does it feel to buy this item right now? Do I need this item? How will I pay for this item? Where will I store this item? And then keep a journal of all your purchases. Write the date, the item you purchased, and the amount you spent to see what you're purchasing, if you actually need the items you're purchasing, and to see how much you're spending on any given day. Because a lot of times you don't realize how much you're spending, and you're spending far more than you actually know you're spending. And so a lot of these things, when you write them down, it makes it a lot easier for you to realize what's going on. And you can take it in to a professional to say, hey, this is what's going on. These are the things I'm noticing. How can we utilize this in our treatment to help me move forward? So just remember this. Every day you can move forward a little bit, but a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a decision.
Well, all right. Yes, ma'am. You can move forward a little bit. This is the growth therapist. You can move forward a little bit every day, but a journey of 1,000 miles starts with what? Just one decision. Okay, yes. You're going to grow today. Okay, listen. I would like before I bring everybody back, let me just highlight a couple things that Ms. Whitney said. Whitney, and you just verified that I am on point with picking up what you was putting down. One of the things I truly, truly like that you said to overcome OCD or shopping addiction or retail therapy is to, first of all, use your senses. And the sour candy. And I think I know why you said sour candy, because as soon as you put that in your mouth, you're not going to be thinking about buying nothing. You're going to be thinking about a lockjaw. What's wrong with my mouth? That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's grounding yourself and making you think of something different opposed to what you were thinking of. Sour candy. Okay. Lockjaw. Oh my goodness. I also love the fact that you said practice affirmations. Practice. So you say use your 5 senses to bring you back to reality. That's grounding yourself. Bring you back to reality. Use your 5 senses. Change the way you're thinking. Use your 5 senses, right? Then you said practice affirmations. Affirmations is speaking positive over your life. But the thing that you said about it is to practice. A lot of people go through affirmations, but they don't practice, right? So you like practice saying it over and over. I love when you said, LOL, laugh. We ain't laughing enough. We ain't laughing enough. A lot of times she's saying, basically you laugh and it's going to help you change your behavior and your thought real quick. It is. So find, pay attention to what's making you laugh, how often if you're laughing. If you're not laughing enough daily, like really out loud, then we need to try and change your environment, change what you're looking at and what you're doing. So start trying to figure out how you can incorporate laughter into your life for real. the other thing that you piggybacked off of, Miss Carol, you said unsubscribe. A lot of people, we sign up to these email things that really trigger us to go through it. But girl, when you said closet shopping and thrifting, that was like, you know, gold, because we buy a lot of stuff and then we wear it one time.
Mhm.
You know, because we posted on social media in there, so we don't wear it again. And what you're saying is get over that.
Yes, we
Get
have
over
stuff.
it.
Why not wear it?
And you know, when you say thrifting, it's not just Goodwill and Salvation Army that you can go thrift in, but Plato's Closet, right? Y'all heard of? Do you have that out there where you're at in Washington? A Plato's Closet?
Yes.
So, you know, that's like a good thrift place to go get stuff. But you know, one of let's see, the other one I love is journaling. Now, let me tell you why. Because when we talked to Carolina and she told us about treatment. She said, go see an individual therapist, go see a therapist for individual counseling, go see a therapist for family counseling, right? The thing about it is when you show up into the therapist's office, if you started to journal the way that you instructed us, then it's going to help the therapist help you get to the root and see what's the underlying factor that's triggering you to have these urges in the first place. What Via and what Carolina was talking about, and also Rosetta, they can send them urges, right? But then Via let us know, hey, it's an underlining aspect to it. It's not shopping addiction is not the disorder. It's connected with anxiety, depression, and OCD. So when you use your journal and the prompts, and I thank you for giving us prompts on different ones that literally ask ourselves. So you basically made it okay to talk to yourself. You said talk to yourself and answer yourself and write it down in this book, in a journal, on a piece of paper.
Yes.
Yes. And so y'all hear that? The therapist is saying, talk to yourself. You ain't crazy. Talk to yourself and answer these questions so you can give it to the therapist and have the therapist help you along the journey of healing. Right? So I really love that. And you had such great prompts for each particular one, for shopping addiction as well as for retail therapy, to really just help you get rational and not move in an irrational state. I really appreciate that. Now, do you feel like people have a hard time journaling when it comes to shopping addiction?
I think it can be really hard, but I think that these are really concrete prompts. So it makes it a little bit easier because these are very simple, concrete, like we're not giving you general, how do you feel today type things. This is what happened when you were shopping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How did shopping make you feel?
Okay.
That's a very direct question.
Yes, I love those questions. And everybody come on back on camera right quick so we can say goodbye. But before we do, I want to ask Whitney if she would put those prompts in her website or her link tree or something where people can get those prompts, and if they need them, and have it available, because I think those are some really great prompts that you came up with, and good ways to talk to yourself, to re-educate yourself on, am I making a move based on my need or based on my want? And is this going to impact my relationships? Am I going to be like Rosetta said and be hiding stuff in my trunk? Or, you know, it's very important. You know, I want to have a lasting relationship. I want to have good relationships. So how can I have them where they're not being interfered with a poor habit that I've been carrying, and I've been carrying it from childhood, or maybe adulthood, but I just want to know, how do I heal? So before we get up out of here, we got to give people some resources so they can move forward in their lives if they are experiencing this, or if they know someone who is experiencing this. So the first resource that we want to come out with is Via Fraley. She is a LISC and an LCSW. She is a true resource for anybody suffering from any mental health disorder. She is the well-able therapist, so she is well able to help you move through your life. You can reach out to her at I Am Legacy, and this information should be popping up in the chat. So you can just go ahead and click on it and get accustomed with her. She's open and very happy to talk to you and help you move to your next level of life. It's I Am Legacy Counseling and Consulting Services. And you can get at her at, you can, if you want to reach out to Via, make sure you raise your hand so they can see your beautiful smile. Yeah, show them who you are, girl. All right, so if you want to talk to her, go ahead at info@imlegacyllc.com. Okay, and she do have a beautiful journal that you can grab a hold to, and that should be popping up any moment now, and it's called Vessel Hope Journal Healing. This journal will help you literally catch your life. Okay, it will help you catch your life. So if you need to want to just call her, it's 614-706-1899. All right, and the next one we got is Carolina Gilbert. She is an LMSW. The name of her practice is Serene Counseling and Wellness. She is a calming therapist. Can't you tell? All right, and you can catch her at Serene Counseling and Wellness.online. Now, if you want to just go ahead and send her an email, then send her one at contact@serenecounseling-and-wellness.online. And if you want to just go ahead and call her, then call her at 248-598-4969. Yes, she is in Michigan. Okay, yes. And then we have Miss Rosetta Delancey, who is an LMSW of True Compassion Development Center. She is the true compassion motivator. She is. You will be motivated with genuinely understanding how someone else feels, putting yourself in the place of somebody else when you're dealing with her. And you can reach out to her at truecompassion.services. And if you just want to go ahead and email her directly, then go ahead at info@truecompassion.services. Now, she also have a beautiful journal for you to grab a hold of, and it's called Protect Me. Miss Whitney really just told us how these journals using prompts can really help us go to our next level when it comes to addiction and seeking services. Whenever you show up to a therapist's office, you really want to show up like you do at the doctor's office. When you go there and your knee hurt, you tell them that your knee hurt and you show them where it's hurting at. When it comes to mental health therapy, it's really important that you be very active in your treatment. So it's very important for you to be able to tell us exactly what's going on and how long it's been going on, how frequent it's been going on, so we can help you get to the root of it and get some sense made out of it. Okay. So if these journals that the women have are very helpful for your next level of life. The next one we want to go over is Whitney Coleman. She is the LICSW and the LCSWC. She is coming to you live from Jade Clinical Services, and she is our growth therapist. She deals with supervision for the mental health clinicians as well as consultations with them, but she can be reached at jadeclinical.com. That is the name of her business. That's her website. You can look it up. And if you want to grab a hold of her journal, you can look at her linktree.com at J Clinical, because she have a link tree set up for you guys. But if you want to just go ahead and call her, because you in the area, go ahead and call her at 202-596-7162. All right. And I am Glendora Devine. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I am a business coach to us mental health clinicians, and my business is Divine Systems Georgia, and which is also a mental and behavior agency. And you can reach out to me at dsgeorgia.com. And I love to hear from you if you need help. The next one that I really wanted to give you guys is the Mental Health America number. So first of all, their website is mmha.org, and their telephone number is 800-969-6642. So just in case you don't see a therapist up here on this panel that you are willing to work with, or you think that can help you, still seek out help and reach out to the Mental Health America. We want you to really live a very beautiful life that you are guiding, that is intentional in 2023. And the only way to do that is for you to take action. So if you don't feel comfortable with any of us, then please reach out to the Mental Health America, or you can reach out to National Alliance of Mental Illness, which is NAMI, right? And that is NAMI.org. All right, and their number is 800-950-NAMI, which is 6264. And my last one that I wanted to give to you is the International OCD Foundation. So you can reach out to them at iocdf.org, or you can text them. You can text home to 741-741, and it don't matter if you're in Canada or United States, they're here to help as well. We are, again, super serious about bringing awareness to mental health. And we are choosing disorders that we talk about, but we don't really understand. So today, I hope that you got some enlightenment. We all do, on retail therapy, shopping addiction, and the connection that it has with obsessive compulsive disorder. And that would be it. And we thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, have a great day, and we'll see you at the next Mental Health Awareness panel. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
All right, you guys, hold on.